Okay, we're progressing. I wasn't happy with these old nipples to function correctly, and they're rusty. Well, they were rusty. I cleaned them, but still wasn't happy. So I went down to my local tractor company, tractor store. Over here in America, we have a thing called Tractor Co. They sell all sorts of lovely stuff. In fact, they're even selling hog rings and sackcloth, so when I do my seats I'll be down there to get those. I got these, they're made by a company called Workforce L5221. They are a 1/8 inch PTF 45 degree. Now you do have to tap the hole out to a 1/8 PTF, but these are nice, new. They got the little ball in them. I'm not sure what they're made of. I want to say it's stainless steel, but in all honesty I'm not sure. No, I'm really not sure. A 10,000 psi. If I got 10,000 psi in this axle, I'm in deep shit. So anyway, they're nice and new. Hey, I got 10 of them. I used 2. So if anybody out there, again, if anybody's interested, you cover the postage, I'll send you a couple of these for your rear axle. Quite happy to do that, guys. Share what I've got. I don't necessarily want money for everything. Certain items, yes, but not everything. You know, things like this, yeah, I'll send you 2 of those in the post. Or if you want, I'll send you 4. That's up to you. Anyway, there you go. What else have we progressed? Oh, I've got to paint that, and I've got to get the joint for that. In fact, I must ring up the company that rebuilt my axle. There's a particular name for this type of joint, and I've got to go and get that from a prop shaft builder. I'll take my prop shaft with me, and I'll show him a photograph of this. And I mean, this is a Hardy Spicer. I think it's called Hardy Spicer. Whoops. Oh, it's definitely called Spicer anyway. All right, oh, hang on, I've moved this now, so let me roll it. Let me roll it to you. Okay, there we go. All right, now next is to fit the seal in. There's an inner seal. I've got to fit that in. Then I've got to fit in the race. And then I've got to fit in the outer seal. Yeah, and then I can put the shaft in. My wife likes it when I do that. So does my girlfriend. Woohoo! Yeah, right. If I want to die. Also, I bought these here from my local AutoZone, BLF 38C5. Steel nuts, 3/16, 3/8, 24 thread. These are for the brake pipes. Okay, right, let's move on to getting the seal in, and I'll do that on camera. Okay, time to get this handbrake mechanism on correctly. As you will see, I've got this piece on now, and that stops in that position. I tell you what though, I think I might put a, if I can get a little, yeah, I'm going to get a little spring washer in underneath this. Give me a second. Okay, I've put a spring washer on there now, and that's held firmly in place. Now put the rod in and wind it through far enough so you can get a nut on this end to hold it in position. Don't lose that washer. That washer actually goes on the top. Right. Yes, I'm using the double nut method to screw this rod in. And if, like me, you'll find your rod is bent. But it doesn't matter as long as it moves. You see that? Holds it, but it doesn't hold it as tight as I would like it, but I don't see what my choices are. Well, I guess my choice is to use thread locker. Yeah, lock it in there good and tight. Shit, that's what I'm going to do. Here we go again. Okay, as I couldn't get this held in the exact position I wanted it when I clamped it really tight, I've backed it off sort of like a half a turn, and I've coated the thread in red Loctite, and I'm going to let it set in that position. However, that doesn't mean I can't continue. So what I'm going to do now is get this rod in here. Oh, let's take that washer off, and don't forget it. Just it's going to get in the way while I do this. And the spring washer that I got on there is holding it still, and it'll probably hold it still enough. I want it solid, and once that thread locker sets, that'll be good and solid. Yeah, I could have used some other kind of glue or something, I guess, but red Loctite is pretty darn good shit, man. Right, and that is roughly where I want it. I say roughly because, hey, you never know. Now I just want to get this nut off. Okay, let's take that top nut off. And then we put that nut on the bottom. But we put it on straight, folks. Yeah, the thread's a little bucketed, it got kind of rusted in its life down here. So you gotta be careful when you're putting it on. Let's just pinch that up. Perfect. Now this may come undone by finger. Yep, it certainly appears to be. Good. Now we get this little beastie on here. And slide the springy, which of course it doesn't want to go in because it's well and truly bent. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it in there. I'll tell you what, let me get the tension on here first. This is just the way I'm going to do it. You do what you want and get the nut on the top. Do note I did put the washer there. Okay, now let me see if how can I get that in there, because I want it to come further down. And as you can see, there is a mark here where this spring was originally in this clip deeper. What do they call that? It's a clevis pin, I think. So how can I squeeze that down and in there? A pair of pliers, will that do it? Brute force and ignorance, that'll work. Alright, let me figure out a way to squeeze that in. Okay, just so you know, all I did was grab the shaft with a pair of pliers and give it a little twist, and because I had the nut down tight and the tension on the spring, it just popped straight in. So that was nice and easy. Alright, now everything is locked off. This works beautifully. I'm just going to leave this now, make sure it's set in the position I want it in, which is with this going up as straight as possible. Just leave that now to the thread locker to do its job. Right, now get on and do those bloody seals, you prick. Now, when you're at this stage, no, I haven't fitted the seals on that yet, I'm sorry. I keep digressing, I keep saying, oh yes, I'll do that. So I've now got the hubs attach to the rotors discs, and before you go putting them in the vehicle, on the axle rather, make sure you have the correct one, because remember, they're handed left and right. And again, this is to remind you all, the right of the car is as you're sitting in the car. So that's where your right hand is, and that's how it all works out, the right of the car and the left of the car. So to confirm this is the right hand side, I have grabbed the spinner from the right side. Now you notice it says offside. That's because this is an English car, and the offside means away from the pavement, and the pavement is the bit the pedestrians walk on, not the bit the cars drive on. That's called the road. So grab that and say, okay, let's see if I turn it the opposite way to undo, it will screw on. And there it goes, it's screwed on. So I definitely know that this is the right. No mistakes can now be made. This says R for right, this says right or offside, stick with right. This is the right hand side of the axle, as you can see because of the way it's facing and the way the nose is. So this is the left, and that's the left one down there. This is the right one here. No mistakes can be made now. If you do, then you're really stupid. Hey, people make mistakes. I've got to press this seal into here, and I'm still keeping everything the same, but does this matter? No, of course it doesn't, but that's just the way I like to do shit. I'm an anal twit, what can I tell you? All right, now let's move on. Whew, here they are, done. They're slightly discoloured, but that's okay. Got to let them cool down now because they got firkin hot, but that does work. In the end, I did it in another oven that I have, and instead of doing 400 degrees, I did 450 for 15 minutes, and then they just dropped straight on without any problems. So now the next thing before I can do anything else is to get the seal in, the inner seal, and I have that in the freezer. So let me get everything ready and I'll show you that being done. Okay, as I said, I've had this seal in the freezer. Put some grease in there. Let's see if I can get this baby to go in. Now these aren't the easiest of things to get in straight. That's the biggest problem I have found. Well, this is a bearing tool, and you see it just wants to keep coming out. I don't know if this is going to work. Sure as hell isn't. Not like that. Why? Because that's way too big, that's why. Dipshit. Okay, let's try again, shall we? And yes, folks, you're seeing this live. Right, let's try again. Get that lined up. And I gotta say, I think this is the way round it goes. If not, oh well. I don't like doing this. It's going in slightly crooked, so what I need to do is change the size of this so that I can get to the corners I want to get to and see if I can straighten it up. So therefore I need to use a smaller one so that I can just get a small area. It's in that top corner there that I need to get it. That seems to do it. I'm getting there, you can tell by the sound. Getting real good. That nice solid sound. And there. And there. Now that, in theory, should be there. I just want to give it one last in this corner. Oh, that slipped. Now, I think that is in position now, but I can't be sure, can I? Therefore, he says, searching desperately on his bench for the appropriate tool. Aha! And I have it here. This is the appropriate tool. It's a dentist mirror. Now you aren't going to be able to see it, but I am, and I'm going to put the mirror in here, shine the light on it, and make sure the seal is up to the edge. So let's have a look. That looks pretty fucking good there. Could do just a tad more there by the looks of it. I'm sorry, all you're seeing is the back of my head. It's more important that I see than you do. Yep, and I think, and really it's not much. It just needs a little tap up in that corner. Just up in this corner here. Perfect. Okay, so now I have completed putting that inner seal in. The next thing will be to put the shaft in and then put the race in, and the race goes onto this surface here. Now the race I have currently in the freezer. However, there is one more thing I want to show you. That is this seal. This has to go into like a cover that goes over here. But of course, I don't have it with me. It's in the freezer. Give me a second. Oops, sorry, I knocked you there. Okay, those of you that are still laughing, this is the piece. This is the seal. Oops, crooked. Crooked. Jitterbug. You see? Now, I have managed to push that pretty much all the way home just with my fingers, because I put this piece of metal in the freezer. Now I'm just going to tap that down. Then that will be that bit done. Okay, now with some judicious tapping, that seal is now perfectly flush. And that will go on there. But next, we have to get our shaft in. Yeah. Right, next thing I've got to do is grease this up. This is now cooled down and that ain't going nowhere. This is not really the way I want to do it, but you kind of don't have any choice, because had I filled this full of grease before I tried to heat it up, well, you know what would have happened. So, out with my good old grease gun, time to get dirty. Try and get as much as you can in here. Now I will be packing it again once it's in the axle, because there is a grease nipple, as you're well aware, on the axle. So let's try and work this in. It shouldn't be too bad. I should be able to work it in enough so that at least when it starts turning, the bearing isn't dry. And you do have to note that this bearing does not get oil. It only works on the grease that you're going to pack into it. The oil, in theory, should stay in the differential. Oh. Now comes the fun bit. I got to squirt this grease in my hand and try and shove it up. And all I can say is do this until you think you've got it everywhere. It's kind of hard to judge, but hey, you're just going to have to figure that out for yourselves, guys. There's not much I can do about it. Here we go. And for those of you who care, this is STP. Sorry, this is Lucas grease. Now I've got to say that on here, this mark around here is where that seal goes, and I'm hoping that the wear on it is not significant enough to cause oil to get past it. If it does, then I will have really no choice but to buy another shaft, and that's really not something I wish to do, but hey, gotta do what you gotta do. One more load of grease and then we'll stick the shaft in. Right, now as I said, once I get it in there, then I will be packing this full of grease, and there is a bleed hole, so once you're shoving all the grease in there, you will see the grease come out of the bleed hole. Then all you can do is hope that you've actually got it in all the right places. Right, how about this? Hang on a second. Now what I do intend to do is, this is my favourite copper grease on a brush. I am just going to cry. I am just going to, come on. Wait, stop that. Just oh, there's a bit of crap on there. Hang on a second. Let me get the crap off. And no, he's not the Russian composer. Okay, let's see. So, well, maybe you can see what I'm doing. Let the old wire brush out. Just cleaning up these flutes so that when it goes in, hopefully it will go in easy. That's the theory. There isn't much in there, just a little bit of crap. But yes, you know, you guys know me if you watch any of my videos. I can be an absolute anal twit at times. And when I work on customers' cars, I'm exactly the same. I treat them as if they're my own, as far as I'm concerned, that is the only way to work on someone's car. Treat it as if it is yours. Right. Now let's get some grease on this. And this is very light greasing that I'm doing. This is just a bit of copper grease I happen to have, but it's on the brush. And that will dissipate as soon as the oil is in there. Now comes the tricky bit. Now you may get knocked, I'm not sure here. Yeah, hang on a second. I gotta move you. Bit of editing to do there. Right. Now, here comes the tricky bit, and that's lining it up. Oh, how about that? Okay, now what we need to do is get the outer race and put that on. Just hang around. Right, one outer race out of the freezer. This is going to be the tricky bit. Hey, guess what? It turns. Right. Now that is flush with the surface. Okay. Unfortunately, my camera decided to fuck up on me. By the way, don't ever buy a GoPro 7 Black. They're crap. So you missed out on me putting this erase in. I took it out of the freezer, rested it there, tapped it in with a hammer, and then I used an impact socket to make sure I got it totally flush. And there she is in position. I don't know if I can actually turn it. See what happens when I try and put the nut on and see if it actually turns. Well, I can hear things turning, but of course, as this is an LSD, nothing is moving. Be aware of that. Okay. Let's make sure we get everything. Okay. So, next thing to put together, and again, to remind you, this is from the earlier where I mentioned a dry build to make sure shit works. I've got my seal here, and I got that tapped in there nicely, as you saw previously, and my brake thingy, caliper holder. So, get that there, Try and line up the holes, get a bolt or two, your choice, and this is the way I find works better. Now just put a couple of bolts through and I'm just holding them there with my hands. Now I've got a shim to go on and hopefully get it on the right way. Okay, that's where the shim will go. There would also be a paper gasket that goes on this side between the brake caliper and this little beastie here, but obviously I'm not putting that on the moment because I don't want to waste it. Let's see, now I think I can just slip this on now. I'm just going to put a couple of nuts on there because that's the kind of guy I am. As I said, this is merely a dry fit. Now I will be tightening these up. I just want to get it to hold for the moment. Now, now comes a real fun bit. I've got two things to do. One is to put the oh God, brain cell, you can do this. Hub assembly. Going to put that on. I'm going to get this tightened up. No, I'm not talking it. I'm just talking about it. That's why my wife stays with me. She loves my humour. And if you guys don't, oh well, that's okay. I'm not married to you. I know you're grateful. Oh, let's get some winches. Let's see if we can tighten those up. Oh dear. This is where I get ticked off with myself. I think I know what size these are, but by the time I get over there and get back, I'll have forgotten. You're just going to have to watch this and shut up. And I think these are two different sizes. Okay. Where are we? Where the fuck are we? Where is it gone? Oh, dildos. This is what happens when you've got a disorganised, small fucking bench. It pisses me off, no end. I want more room, I want a place where I can have a proper bench. I'm going to fight around this shit all the time. Move this from here to there, move that from there to there. It gets my bloody goat, I'll tell you that, our kid. See, now I've lost a socket on the bench. I know it's on the bench somewhere, but can I find it? No. It's probably attached to a wrench and I can't see it. Alright, give me a second, I'll be back. Fuck me! Alright. Now I'm not going to tell you the size of these nuts and bolts purely because these are grade 8 ones that I've purchased and they are not necessarily the same size as the ones you're going to be using. I can't help that, it's just the kind of guy I am. So I'm going to pinch these up. I'm not torquing them up. So you'll have to talk amongst yourselves. It'll be good enough. We're not talking precision here. Are we, Mr. Van Remortel? And those of you that are totally unaware of who Mr. Van Remortel is, he is, I want to say, and Gary, I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong, he used to deal with aircraft, and I want to say building of them or repairing them. I'm not sure which, in all honesty, and I believe it was military. But however, everything was precise with Gary, the way he did it, and I appreciate that. He comes up with some very good ideas. Says, Gary, don't be an idiot, you should never do that, you should do this. One of his pet peeves is putting things on engines, because I think he was probably taught never to do that, which is a good thing not to do. So, as I said, he's a good guy. A lot of useful information. A lot of crappy information too. Hey Gary. Alright, now we're good there. Next is to put the hub assembly on with the disc, and also the disc shield. Now the disc shield should already be on there. I have not worried about it because it's a shield. It doesn't interfere with what I'm setting up now. What I'm setting up now, oh excuse me, my throat's dry, is to make sure that when I put the brake caliper on, it is central. Now do note that on the shaft there is a keyway. Now on this particular side of my vehicle, the keyway has stayed in the hub assembly. On the other end it came off. So you know, don't forget it. And I think, if I can get it, yeah, it's got a slope on the part of the keyway shaft, and that goes on the back. You'll see it, don't worry. Now, here we are. Oh. And I've got to try and line this up. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. I have done something wrong. There's a surprise, huh? Oh, Gary, really? Excuse me. Okay, with the reassembly, I found the easiest way is to just place it in your hand, put a couple of bolts through and the relevant shim. I'm not putting the gasket on at the moment, which will go on this side. Just going to get these on there and line everything up, he says, hopefully. That is how she goes. Remembering my special nuts. And I'm not going to talk all of this, there's really no need at the moment. I just want to get an idea as to how central the caliper is. The final assembly will be different. I will actually grease the shim, and the reason I'll do that is just to give it some protection. Nothing more exciting than that. Right, let's just pinch these up. We are nearly there. Oh, dumb shit. Would help if I put the nut on, wouldn't it? Let me tilt you up a bit. Hopefully that helps. I sometimes wonder at my own brilliance. But then again, it's only matched by my own stupidity. This is where we're on a proper workshop. I'm having to do it like this, but there, well, I guess I'm a lot better off than a lot of people. I have to have a garage like my buddy in Austria, Classic Car Cave Dave. Right, now, grabbing one's rotor. Do note there is a keyway, so you're going to have to get that lined up first. Okay, that is on. Let's put a washer and a nut on, and yeah, I'm not going to be able to torque this up. I'm not going to be able to talk nice to it. This is always the fun bit. Now, what size is that? Don't go away. Well, the socket I've found that fits it is 1.25 inches. Hopefully yours will be the same. Who knows? Okay, that's nice and tight. And it turns, how about that? Right, next is, I'm not going to put the split pin, obviously, I'm not going to put that in yet. Now I'm going to go get the caliper, put the caliper on, and see if it's lined up. Bear with us. Okay, here's the caliper in all its heavy glory. Let me get it on. Now again, you know, these have got to be wired on. I'm not doing that now, obviously. Tell you what, this is fun trying to get this lined up. Whoa, damn. What size are these guys? About yours, but mine appear to be 5/8. Let's see if I can get this lined up. See if I'm going to get my speedy on this. Okay, so there it is with the caliper on, and I tell you, looking at this, woo, I got to take that shim out. I need it to go that way. Now it's not touching, it is not touching. But let me bring you here. Look at that. Now it's not touching, so you know it would work, and you know it will be okay. But that's not what I want. So now there is a shim there, which I will take out. That will move it in further. What does concern me is that shim isn't very thick, so I'm not going to gain a lot, but at least I'm going to gain something and make it a little closer than, well, not a little closer, sorry, a little further away than, it should be a little closer to where it needs to be. I don't see any other way around this. There's not a spacer or anything that goes in there to move shit. So I'm thinking out loud, guys, while I'm here, to move the disc that way. Nope. Yeah, well, that's all I can do is take the shim off, and that will move the caliper this way. I mean, yeah, I could put some shims here somewhere to move the caliper, but I'm not going to do that. Of course, I could try swapping the... Okay, it would appear I have a couple of choices here. Maybe even more than two. I can take the rotor off to a machine shop and get them to try and take some off between the hub and the rotor. That doesn't appeal to me because that will weaken that area. I could try putting some spacers, shims, on the caliper to move it. again, that doesn't appeal. I could take the caliper mounting bracket to a machine shop and ask them to skim off. Again, that really doesn't appeal, but that may be the way I'm going to have to go. I'm really trying to think what my options are on this to move that caliper to the left. Not by a great deal. I am going to try the caliper mounting bracket from the other side and see how that fits and see if that makes it any better. But of course I will also have to reassemble the other side to make sure it doesn't screw me up there. I mean, I have shims to move it, but not in the direction I want. I need minus shims. Doesn't happen, does it? Anyway, there you go, guys. Now get out in the garage, go do some shit.